down your weapons.
Today on RB's Toy Box, we're going to go to a galaxy far, far away. You know, my toy box. Stay tuned. So today on RB's Toy Box, we're going to answer the question, which one's better? Star Wars? Star Trek? It doesn't matter. What matters is what matters to you. You see, when you start dealing with sci-fi, each one comes from its own angle, its own perspective, its own system, if you will. Star Wars and Star Trek, while they're both in space, in my mind, that's really where the similarities end. Because, you know, Star Wars is like, you know, long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away, to where Star Wars is the complete, Star Trek is the complete other direction. You're going, you know, 400 years in the future or whatever. So it's like two different complete takes on it. Now, I'm a techie trekkie, right? So I like the science fiction / technology side of both of them, the lightsabers, the blasters. And if you take a look at my little collection back here, and I don't nearly have as many things in Star Wars as I do with Star Trek, but, you know, I've got, you know, a few things. I've got a couple of blasters. I've got, you know, a Black Series lightsaber. I've got the Black Series baton. I've got some pictures. I've got some little Matchbox toys. I've got the little, you know, my kids, they bought me some stuff from time to time. I've got my little Darth Vader and Stormtrooper collector's set, and, you know, just a few things, you know, nothing wild or elaborate, or certainly not like some of my friends and colleagues out there in the internet community that have, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff that they've collected over the years. And, you know, some of those things in the Star Wars environment are going for big money. I mean, if you were the type of kid like me who held on, I mean, I actually still have some Star Wars figures from when I was a kid. Not many, I mean, little guys. And they're worn off because I played with them. But, you know, from 1977, 20 years from now, that thing might be worth $20. You never know. I'm playing with you. But, you know, some of those figures, just like G.I. Joe, they're going for big, big money. Now, for me personally, you know, Star Wars and Star Trek, they kind of had their own little thing, but for me, I didn't get introduced to Star Wars the same way that I did Star Trek. And the reason for that is when that came out, I couldn't go see it in the theaters. It was just not something my parents at that time wanted to go see. So because they didn't want to go see it, I didn't get to go see it. And it's not like you could go rent it on VCR. They didn't really have VCRs back then. They had Betamax, which was just barely coming out. And when I say just barely, I mean us just barely being able to afford one, be able to get one. But, you know, and that's not one of the first things my parents went out and got was, you know, a Star Wars on Betamax. So, you know, I didn't really get exposed to Star Wars per se until I was well into middle school, when I picked up some comic books that, you know, obviously were not the full movie, but little samplings of it enough where you could follow the storyline and be able to see. And I read, you know, all the way through to the point where it identified, you know, Luke, I am your father. And that blew me away because I'd never heard that up to that point, or even learned about that up to that point. I was just like, man, that blew my, and I had to see the rest of it. I had to learn the rest of it. And just like everybody else, when I got to the point where, you know, there was such a thing as a VCR, I got all the tapes. I watched all the movies, and when the new ones came out, I watched all of them. I follow it on Disney Plus with, you know, the new Obi-Wan Kenobi and so forth. But like I said, for me, you know, you look at the comparison that I have between, let's say, Star Trek, which was more readily affordable for me when I started collecting. Obviously, that was kind of where my first passion came from, and my love for Neutral Zone Studios and what they're doing down there rekindled the fire that I had with Star Trek. And not to mention with Star Trek, when I went in the military, in the Air Force, Star Trek was like, you had to watch that. At Tech Training School in Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas, every night that it was on, that's all that was on. And I mean, if somebody tries to change the channel, we beat him down. We were watching Star Trek. But, you know, like I said, when you compare that with my collection, with I have literally 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 walls in rooms dedicated to that here in my house, you know, that's obviously a big comparison to the little section of stuff I have over here for Star Wars. But I wanted to take a minute because some of you may have seen some other reviews. I want you to see this Arby's Toy Box review on the Battle Baton. Okay, now these have gone way, way down in price. So if you were thinking about picking one of these up at GameStop, Amazon has some, obviously eBay has a bazillion of them, and those that are still out there come Christmas time, they're going to be dirt cheap. Matter of fact, they're probably going to be, in my guess, about 40 or 50 bucks, and this video is made in 2022. The reason for that is because this is probably one of the largest letdowns of the new generation toys, with, you know, the franchise kind of being changed over. They changed over some of their vendors, as I understand it, because you look at this guy made a few years ago. I mean, hard plastic. They could have made this out of much, much cheaper plastic and got the same money out of them. My Darth Vader is getting worked on right now. I've got him kind of disassembled, doing some repairs on him. But, you know, these things just made well. Now, that's not the review. I want to show you here the Battle Baton. And this won't be an extensive review or anything because there's a lot of other people that have done that. But I want to give you my take on it. This thing is, if you just keep it like this, it's fine. But who wants to pay $200 for, you know, it's fine. Fortunately, I didn't spend $200 on it. But when you open this thing up, if you can get those things to go out all the way, it sounds good. But if you hit your buddy upside the head with this while you're playing, you're breaking this sucker. It's over. You can show this to your friends and they're like, ooh, because it does have a lot of lights. It does vibrate. This is aluminum, so it's got a good feel to it. But that is where the joy of the product ends. When I turn this thing off and I go to put these things back in, no, we're going to be here for 20 minutes and nobody wants to sit here and watch 20 minutes of me trying to put this thing back together. It is the biggest pain in the neck to try to get these to go down and then try to lock in place and stay there. And that was a good one. I mean, most of the time you hear the click and the clack and it won't push in and it won't turn. And if you do get it to turn, it won't lock in. If there's anybody out there that for some reason enjoys Arby's Toy Box and you are involved with building this, shame on you! You could have done so much better just by making this plastic thicker. Thicker, okay? This kind of plastic thicker, okay? These are two completely different. I mean, I can squeeze this thing. It's just cheap. And the springs of these things are cheap. And I think obviously they expected you just to throw these things up on the shelf, and I get that. But you can't charge 200 bucks, which is what retail were on these things, for something that's just going to set up and not be used and showed off from time to time. And you know, you want to look cool with your friends, and you look cool until you've got to put these things back in, and then you look like a bumbling idiot. You don't even look like a Star Wars aficionado when you can't even put the Battle Baton things back in, right? So this was a big letdown, and I think you'll find that on a lot of people's YouTube channels was, you know, that's a big letdown. Like this, looks great. Open that baby up. The joy is over when you need to put it back together. So Again, quick video. I wanted to show some folks because some people are like, you know, you don't even have any Star Wars stuff. And I do. I don't have as much, but I love the pieces that I have. But I don't have a ton of them. Now, if you like this video and you like the other Arby's Toy Box videos, here's a couple of things you can do for me. Number one, down there, wherever it's at on the screen here, like and subscribe, right? Share it with your friends. But in between this video and the next one that we're going to do, I have Facebook at Arby's Toy Box, the little ampersand and the Arby's Toy Box, and then Instagram at Arby's Toy Box. And I have a bunch of little videos that I don't do all the preludes and so forth with, you know, less of a production model, but I try to put something on there every day or every other day with something I came across, some new adventures that we've gone on. We just recently went to Plant City and went to a car show there, a bunch of antique stores there, picked up a few things. We've got another trip that we're planning on going up here not too long to pick up a couple more things. So stay tuned on Facebook, Instagram, this YouTube channel right here. This is Rick with Arby's Toy Box signing off from my little Star Wars, Star Trek comparison video. That was kind of cheesy, wasn't it? What are you going to do?